This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip, electric toothbrushes sent to your home with brush head refills every 3 months. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you will get your first brush head refill free. That is tryquip.com/thumbs.
You have really become do you ever listen to baseball games on the radio?
I don't.
The sports announcers on the radio, they have to read. That's one of the few places where I hear announcers read native advertising. But those guys do it. Yeah. It's like the same sponsor every time, and your Quip's ad is getting the cadence of those.
Oh, really?
Brought to you by the sports leader. It's just like every time that this just like wherever the fuck.
I wonder if it's for the same reason, which is just
you just say it so much that it becomes its own little workshop. Yeah.
The words themselves are known so deeply that the only sort of creative act that remains is the emphasis.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm sure it's the same.
I wonder if that is itself the sort of long-term creation of newscaster speak.
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boredom.
It all started with a Quip's ad.
Yeah.
I love it, but I'm not loving it.
Fuck off. God. What was that, like ad executive? Who was that?
It's just, I don't know. It's I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
Yeah.
I love it, but I'm not loving it.
Loving it. Are we loving it?
Say it back. Why aren't you saying I'm loving it? I said I'm loving it.
I'm loving it.
Aren't you loving it?
Aren't you loving it?
I love it.
I mean, I love it.
I love it.
I love it. Look, I love it. All right? I said it. You didn't say it.
You didn't say it.
Are you loving it?
No. No. I'm hating it.
No, it's
look,
McDonald's.
Let me be honest. Let me be honest with you. I love it, but I'm hating it.
But
It's what we call a compliment sandwich. I love it, but I'm hating it. But I love.
That's a compliment sandwich. Put that on the menu.
It's March 23rd, 2018.
And this is Important If True.
Whoa, for Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
And I'm Jake Rodkin.
That was boisterous.
It was. I would describe it as boisterous.
I had 2 weeks to save up energy. I had to get. I mean, I didn't. What am I saying?
You had like 6 weeks. Is this even the real Nick?
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I barely even know.
This new Nick is full of boister, which is not the usual method for Nick Brecken.
True.
Yeah, I think we are definitely at the point where listeners to this show cannot tell if Nick is real or not.
They definitely cannot tell because actually, as far as I'm able to discern, the considerable majority of listeners to this podcast actually, I think, are under the impression, Nick, that you dubbed yourself over last week's podcast, whereas in reality, your presence on last week's podcast was
genuine.
Was present in the room. Was created by clipping out bits from your destroyed robot recording
from the corrupted
a
episode.
Few weeks beforehand. So I just went through and just clipped a bunch of the little bits out opportunistically.
What does that say about me that there's so little difference between between what I say that you can just sub out anything I say into any episode? It's just
Well, it's something to reflect on.
That clip was from Important If True 23. That was from Important If True 15.
Nick's existential crisis.
Yeah.
It's a classic moment. Longtime listeners will remember. All I could think of was new listeners listening to last week's episode as their entree into the show. I mean, I assume as with anything, most of the listeners were repeat listeners, but surely there are some people who got the podcast recommended to them or stumbled upon it or whatever, and that was their opening episode, which starts with a recording of you that was actually recorded for that episode saying, "Hi, I'm Nick Brecken. I'm not on this episode in my traditional form." And then all this shit happens, and they're like, "What is that?"
That little nugget of original content was all it took, though, to plant the seed that this Nick could potentially be authentic.
Yep.
Also,
are you suggesting that we have an email related to this?
Yeah, we have a very related email.
You're right.
I mean, Nick, I would say that Nick could basically, we've proven that Nick could stay on this podcast forever.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I don't even know how much new content we need, to be honest. So, I mean, your contract's coming up.
Oh, okay, cool.
No!
Bye.
Nick. No.
Goodbye. Much like Twista's endless wine note rapping, Nick Brecken could just be remixed ad infinitum to sustain this podcast long after death. On that note, we have an email from Josh who writes, "Hey, Chris, Jake, and Tim Horton. I recently read an article about how digital face scanning technologies..."
Sorry, Nick.
That's fine.
A representative of a digital face scanning firm noted how many young actors were regularly having their faces scanned and stored in a database. In the future, these scans could be used to make de-aged CGI versions of these actors in television and film. It's a neat concept for young actors to future-proof their careers by scanning their faces regularly as they age. But the article also posited a dark side. The rep discussed how the technology could be used in licensing deals for brands that extend beyond death. Instead of George Clooney signing a 10-year deal with Nespresso, he could sign a 100-year deal. When he dies, they'd simply use the version of him created from stored facial scans. In this way, actors and celebrities and other notable figures could create new content far past their own deaths. Their estates could own their likeness rights and sell them to brands after they die. If you're a musician, your hologram could perform shows for decades after you die. If you're a professor, you could give lectures and talks from beyond the grave. If an actor signs a 10-season deal with Netflix, they don't need to be recast if they die during season 6. This would be a good way for the famous to keep generating revenue for their children and grandchildren after their deaths. Maybe in the future, the mega famous don't ever really die. Maybe from the day you are born through your entire life, George Clooney will always have been there, never changing, never aging, starring in a brand new coffee ad every year. Maybe our future is of 200-foot-tall Blade Runner holographic long-dead YouTubers looming over us, asking us to like and subscribe.
Maybe.
Josh.
Maybe.
I would take that maybe and throw it away and say,
I don't know if we need to upgrade it.
Let's just boost that maybe.
There's no question mark.
Mm-hmm. Let's pump up that maybe a little bit.
The young Hollywood stars are getting their face scanned once a year. Sounds like a newsreel to me. Where it's like, tell us how you look so young. Well, I get my face scanned at least once a year.
And Peter Thiel drinks my blood. I call it, that's my regimen.
Yeah.
Peter Thiel drinks my blood. That's
and stole my face.
So I'm aging rapidly. Good thing I scanned my face in.
Well, it's actually you could fast track the whole process. You go in for your face scan your face at your current age. Peter Thiel drinks your blood, maintains his own age. You age faster, a la the portrait of Dorian Gray. You can then get your next year age face scan even faster. You can rapidly go through the entire aging process with according face scans and really quickly speed up that licensing your whole life, rake in that sweet all ages licensed CG face scan rights deal. And then Peter Thiel has at this point has become 23. So
right, he only needed to get his face scanned
wins.
once because he's drinking the blood of teens.
Yep.
I was thinking about how George Clooney has managed to age incredibly gracefully.
Well,
think about this though. What if he continues to age gracefully and super old ass George Clooney is still cool looking, but he's the old version of it? But then,
I thought you were gonna say just 1 year, decades from now, ancient George Clooney steps out from behind the curtain.
What I was thinking about is,
behold. Behold what you have wrought.
No. I was going to say, what if George Clooney just continues to be a good-looking guy at all ages, but that becomes his defining trait? So then he dies, and they use his CG scan, but they couple it with someone who has gone missing for decades. Computers predict that this is what this kid would look like if they were 25. So look for that. But if George Clooney is selling coffee in 2070 or whatever, and they're this is what George Clooney would look like if he was still alive, 155 years old, still looking good though. If they just keep aging the CG George Clooney.
Weird.
So they just basically the skeleton from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is talking with a synthesized George Clooney voice, but you're still kind of oh yeah, it's really still holding together.
Really, Silver Fox.
Yeah. I don't know why that was a thing that I thought
By
of.
which I mean his skull has been gilded in silver.
George Clooney's chrome skull.
That's actually where the Terminators come from. That's why they all have these like perfectly shaped human-looking skulls. Those are just the Clooneys, the far future Clooneys, who have been, like
an army of gilded Clooneys.
Yeah. Stomping. If you want to know the picture of the future, just imagine an army of gilded Clooneys stamping on a human face forever. I mean, or don't imagine it. Just wait for the
just
wait for the movie.
Yeah.
Wait for the Nespresso commercial.
Imagine. Yeah, it's a picture.
The gilded Clooney.
A gilded Clooney stomping on a human face forever, while slightly out of focus in the background, a 4 million foot high PewDiePie just smirks at you.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Whoa! I'm scared.
What is that? The thing? How
The huge ones have to be really
huge
slow.
Ones are really slow.
They're
Yeah.
huge, so they have to be really slow. And they say their trademark phrase, "I'm scared."
His whole deal is just to perpetually fucking flip out at the army of gilded Clooney's terrorizing humanity.
Can you believe this? I mean, what the fuck?
God. I had some totally different direction to go with this. And
I'm pretty sure this was the only possible direction, Chris.
Clearly.
What were you thinking about when you read this email? What absurd garbage?
Well, I was thinking about something way less outrageous, which is like, I saw something. I don't know if you guys saw the news about millennials recently.
What? Have you seen the news about millennials lately?
Chris, yes. I assure you that I've heard the news about millennials.
Have you heard the good news about millennials?
I don't think there's any good news about millennials. I think there's only bad news about them.
Well, I will be curious to hear, Jake, if you consider this good news or bad news, because it directly pertains to you. The Pew Research Center.
Oh, I'm not one.
Yeah, Jake has been kicked out of millennials for years. Jake has been.
I'm like a millennial cusper.
Yeah, Jake has been my prototypical millennial cusper. The person who born in 1980 falls right on the border of Gen X and millennial, and Jake is like the perfect expression of the blend between those generations. But now,
at least I'm a perfect expression of something. But yeah, not anymore.
You have been kicked out of the millennials. You are now a Gen Xer. This podcast is now 2 millennials and a Gen Xer.
That's our new name.
Which should have been the name of the podcast. Fucking kill me. Good Lord. Kill me and scan my face.
Scan my face, then kill me. Sorry.
Oh, God.
So I can live forever.
I mean,
replace me with a recording of Nick Brecken, but with my face.
Yeah, we'll all die. We'll all realize that there was plenty of sampling of all versions of Nick Brecken's voice and all sort of human to robot spectrum. Yeah. Not enough of ours. So eventually, all 3 of our likenesses will continue to create the YouTube version of the podcast.
Replace us with 3 holograms
all voiced by Nick Brecken.
Replace us with 3 holograms of PewDiePie so our kids can be fucking rich.
God,
I'm seeing double 3 PewDiePie. Nothing.
A 3 PewDiePie podcast? Do they all just get increasingly freaked out?
They're all just scared by each other?
Oh,
yeah. Oh no, what?
I'd rate this one a 3 PewDiePie-der.
3 PewDiePie-der. Gross. I hate that. Anyway, so I was thinking about Jake, former millennial cusper, ex-millennial cusper, and the sort of just the notion of generations and how one of the challenges for the millennial generation, and honestly to some degree Gen X, has been that the baby boomers were so numerous, and then also because of medical advancements and things like that are living a lot longer, so they're hoarding so much more of just wealth and power in society, disproportionately as they've been allowed to maintain so much of that control.
I feel like Gen X complained about that, but millennials were actually hit by it.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yeah, but anyway, then I was reading the story and I'm like, holy fucking shit! Is this just the ultimate triumph of is this like the last grip that the baby boomers have on will all of the baby boomer celebrities, all of the gracefully aging old baby boomer celebrities in the future continue to also just hoard all of the like mega famous.
Where you're just like, God, how many
jobs.
more Oscars can Meryl Streep fucking win?
Right,
or whatever.
exactly. Like, I mean, is our Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks is just going to be America's dad forever, who's sometimes a serious dad and sometimes a wacky dad, but he's definitely a liked dad.
The version of it with the like age sort of strata that have been preserved, you could start like rubber banding the age of these celebrities in every different era to match the taste of that.
I really preferred like a young 80s Tom Hanks.
Yeah. You know how just sort of
That's
social
this
taste-
generation's Tom Hanks. Or whatever, the post-Generation Z, like post-millennial, post-whatever, like in 30 years, like, man, those kids are really responding to young Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
To the Nickelodeon show, Young Tom Hanks.
Starring young Tom Hanks?
Starring actually young Tom Hanks, yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably,
because Big got pushed into all of their dreams a couple times sort of by mistake. And then now they really have an affinity.
You mean like the actual like Inception?
Just for the people who didn't pay to turn that off.
Right, right.
Yeah, and now they just want more young Tom Hanks content.
I wonder if you could like use Tom Hanks, because Tom Hanks also has celebrity progeny.
Chris. He's his own man.
Well, I wonder if his son could be used.
Oh, he could puppeteer Tom Hanks for sure.
Oh yeah, okay.
He could be the Tom Hanks face target.
God, because Tom Hanks also
now casting for Tom Hanks face targets. We don't care what you actually look like, but is your bone and muscular structure and the correct?
Right.
Does your smile shape
could you inhabit
like his?
a Tom Hanks virtual rig?
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully, that's also piloted in like a
Pacific Rim.
Yeah, Pacific Rim. Like
it takes two people to like pair up to pilot a Tom Hanks.
Yeah, you actually need both Colin Hanks, Tom Hanks' son, and whoever Tom Hanks' brother is, who also, I don't know if you guys know this, but Tom Hanks' brother does all of the Tom Hanks voice work for the projects that are like too boring for Tom Hanks to do. So like all the Toy Story video games that are like Tom Hanks doesn't give a shit about, his brother actually is the Tom Hanks.
That's why this
in
gets
those
increasingly
games.
complicated, because a generation from now you're going to need two guys to control Tom Hanks' brother's contribution and two guys to control Colin Hanks. So there's going to be this like, it's eventually going to be like a NASA control center of dudes all just like.
So as each of them dies, taking to the grave with them a lifetime of expertise.
Oh God,
they each
a
then
NASA
have to be
control center,
replaced.
and that just to make him say, "Houston, we have a problem."
Again,
just the remake.
In the remake, Apollo.
Yeah,
it's the Apollo verse,
but it definitely has that classic line that all of the that all of the sort of uploaded brains who actually saw the film in theaters in 1995 or whatever, flip their shit over. This is like Martin Shkreli's like uploaded consciousness. Well, Martin Shkreli himself is like long dead in the ground. Martin Shkreli's like consciousness internet brain is still enjoying all of the fruits of the Clooney verse, like the Hanks verse. God, that's also so you've got God, and then the ultimate battle is between the infinite Gilded Cloonies, the like army of marching Gilded Cloonies, and the like mega robot piloted by the NASA Control Center,
the Pacific Rim virtual Hanks.
Yeah.
And then an audience of like 200 PewDiePies going like, "What? Whoa! Look out! I'm scared!"
Amazing. Did you see that? Yeah, the rest of humanity is just
nobody's actually alive. It's just it's like a program that's just running. It's
just like somewhere in Florida.
Bullshit.
Yep.
Oh God.
Just off in Florida during a hurricane when the rest of because of just climate change has fucked everything. This is the last sort of gasp of what humanity has created. Sort of this like.
Meanwhile, deep in his Silicon Valley bunker, a now 12-year-old Peter Thiel just like sits in his chair with Martin Shkreli's brain in a jar next to him, stroking it softly, saying,
like, "One day our time will come.
Good."
One day we will emerge, see the sun again. It'll be entertaining to watch.
Yeah. For him, for Peter Thiel?
Yeah.
Last human being?
Yeah. Last surviving Netflix subscriber.
God, I had such a different initial reaction to this licensing you're like this. Fortunately, it went the direction it probably should have gone the whole time and will only inevitably go in
I feel like
future.
you tried to get into it with the Tom Hanks thing, and then it also immediately just was flushed down the drain.
Yeah, I don't even remember where I was going to go with it. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We're all fucking doomed. We have an email from Katie, who is going to also take us back, I think, to the 90s, but in a way that presumably has nothing to do with what we just said. Let's find out. Katie writes, I've been re-listening to the podcast, and I just reached episode 19, Pearls Before Slime. Discussed is the renewal of children's interest in slime, a substance Nickelodeon made popular in the 90s with game shows Figure It Out, Wild and Crazy Kids, and Double Dare, in which contestants had said slime dumped on them for various reasons. You also mentioned GAC, slime's orange counterpart that seems to have been forgotten over the years. Not by us, Katie. You may find it interesting to know that slime and GAC, unlike today's glue and ant poison slime, were edible and actually delicious. In the late 90s, my parents took my older brother and me, I was about 6, he 8, to the Universal Studios theme park in Florida. At the time, they still filmed the Nickelodeon game shows on premises and offered tours of the sets. On the tour, they show you slime and GAC samples, which they offer for tasting. Most of the kids were not interested for obvious reasons, but I and a few others were more adventurous. Turns out slime was simply applesauce, green food coloring, and flour. GAC was orange-colored vanilla pudding. After sampling, we were told in hushed tones, this was the studio's most treasured secret. After returning home to New Jersey, I immediately told all my friends, and now I'm telling you. Whoops. I've done more research on this and found slime made its first appearance on the 80s show You Can't Do That on Television. It was originally made of green latex paint and other toxic stuff, but after the prop masters learned it would be used on children, changed to green jello and flour. Apparently the formula has changed many times, so I can't guarantee it would be the same today. Do they even still use that stuff on Nickelodeon? But it leaves me wondering, how could Nickelodeon's changing need for large quantities of different edible substances have affected the food market and merchants of the time? Is there a trend of severe shortages of applesauce and pudding in the greater Orlando area during the late 90s? Would it be possible to determine the ingredients and used throughout the years by looking for trends like this? Help me, Portneuf crew. You are my only hope. Anyway, seriously love the cast. Keep up the amazing content and stay spicy.
I guess I will say, as this podcast's resident Generation X host,
Yeah.
You Can't Do That on Television is very obviously and unsurprisingly the origin of slime.
That was also delivered in the most Gen X fucking possible way.
I'm going to go for this now.
Unsurprisingly, I think you'll find classic cult 80s Nickelodeon television program, You Don't Know That on Television, was clearly the origin of slime.
Get ready for this shit, Chris. It's the new me.
Yeah, you're just going to grow into it. You're going to reconnect with your ancestral roots. Your birthright.
My birthright, an aloof douche.
Anyway, I also remembered that.
I know.
Because I think we mentioned it, actually.
We've talked about it a lot of times.
On a different podcast.
I think that slime still lives on, but only in the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. I don't think it's really a part of Nickelodeon's TV culture anymore.
It's still kind of part of their branding, though, right?
It is, yeah. But there were so many... You Can't Do That on Television. I think if you said I don't know in a sketch, you would get dumped with slime. And if you said water, you get dumped with water. Yeah. And then that show was sort of the cultural breakout for original-ass Nickelodeon. And then Double Dare and all those other like game shows and just weird kids will do gross things shows kind of birthed out of that, to the point that Nickelodeon was just doused in slime. Disgusting shit for a decade.
Yep. Yeah. It is. I mean, it definitely deeply penetrated their DNA, for sure. This isn't related to anything, but the notion that the game shows were filmed on premises at Universal Studios Florida, I remember that from all of the sort of Nickelodeon bumpers that you'd see after the shows. They'd all have like a stylized sort of illustrated kind of little clip of their building, and it was like filmed on location or whatever they said. And God, I always thought that must have been the coolest thing.
There's an oral history of the production of Double Dare, which was the Nickelodeon, like the big sort of central game show that was the sort of tent pole of all of this. And apparently that soundstage was the most fucking disgusting place in the entire world. It was just like, we could not get it clean.
Oh no.
Because like the floors had to be like a material that was slick enough that you could clean it, but like not so slick that people would just fall over and die all the time. But like just like the corners of everywhere in that studio were just the nastiest shit. It just smelled like all of the things that were just listed in this food that was just left around under studio lights all the time.
God, I never thought about that. That is horrific.
Yeah, it's a good thing your TV can't emit smell.
Yeah, or depict high enough resolution at the time to reflect.
All Double Dare behind the scenes facts are apparently just vile or weird, like GAC. as Nick and I think, both learned by reading up on gack briefly, was named that by the production crew because it was a street slang term for heroin.
Yeah.
What?
And then they were completely baffled and thought it was the funniest thing ever when Nickelodeon packaged that term up and started selling it to kids.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good.
Nick, you had some Double Dare quotes from the source about what's inside of these things, I think.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, Mark Summers,
the host of Double Dare.
Yeah, he confirmed our emailer's account that it's vanilla pudding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, applesauce, vanilla pudding, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Jake
oatmeal.
was so dubious.
Yeah, no.
Well, okay, so here's the thing that I think is interesting and slightly disingenuous about Katie's story.
Jesus Christ,
No,
dude.
sorry, not what Katie was told. I think that Katie was told disingenuous things by the Nickelodeon studio tour people, because saying, "Oh yeah, it's applesauce and pudding and you can eat it and stuff." I 100% believe that is true for what is dumped on the kids and you can't on television,
in the actual
and what's
studio?
dumped on the people in Double Dare and whatever else. But there is no way that if you went to like a KB toy store and bought a little tub of gack that it should be eaten. That's the word. It's like, oh, we all went home and told our friends you can eat it. And I like, so I looked up the gack line of toys.
Yeah.
So first there was Nickelodeon Slime, which was just like you could just buy just a bottle of goop. And then they introduced a thing called gack. Wikipedia says it was marketed on the fact that unlike most of the compounds, it made a, quote, fart noise when squeezed into its clear, star-shaped container. But so the thing that kids were being told by the Nickelodeon production crew were edible include, so gack went crazy for a minute. It was like a kid, just a wacky kid fad.
Did either of them bounce if you formed them into a ball?
I'm not sure, like silly putty?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess I'm just thinking of silly putty.
I don't think gack bounce. Gack farts, Chris. That's its unique gift.
That's true. Sorry, unlike the other compounds.
So gack, like every other children's craze that's started anytime like after the 70s, instantly spun off a million spin-offs. And just think about the chemical properties of these things, and then think about a person telling kids that visit Nickelodeon studios, you can eat it.
Yeah.
Gack in the dark, the second kind of gack that glows in the dark after exposure to light. Solar gack, the kind of gack that changes color when exposed to sunlight. Oh, no. Smell my gack, the fourth version that was scented, including pickles, flowers, vanilla ice cream, buttered popcorn, pepperoni pizza.
I hate that I know that to make something smell like food, it has to become less like food.
Gack's Alive, a dark black colored gack that was filled with magnetic particles or iron filings.
You can eat it.
Christ.
It's just applesauce. Magnetize yourself, kids.
Yeah.
Inoculate yourself against the Gilded Clooney future.
Anyway, I don't think you can get past the one that literally has metal inside of it for eating.
Hopefully Katie didn't consume too much commercially available gack.
Yeah, you don't eat those ones.
Or hopefully she ate mainly the iron filings kind and is now
very strong.
Like is on the road to the next evolution of humanity.
Floamies are little bugs and animals that you can make with the Floamies kit. I'm referring, of course, to Floam, the successor to gack.
Oh, Floam. I kind of remember that vaguely.
I feel like Floam might get past me. Floam might be a millennials only.
That was definitely when I was on my way out of Nickelodeon. I don't remember any of the details. I don't have any like emotional memories around Floam.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't
but
either.
you definitely
slime.
remember that time that you ate all that gack.
Yeah. All that shit was fucking tasty. It's ridiculous. Like,
did you taste the gack?
Well, I don't remember, but I do remember. Like, I mean, Play-Doh was like salty.
Yeah, Play-Doh.
And so
Play-Doh's
kids
delicious.
love to eat Play-Doh. Like all that. Why, God? Anyway, hopefully I too am somehow a superior human inside now. I've salinated myself via Play-Doh. Which also was like you would make pasta dishes out of it and shit. They had like all kinds of
the little Play-Doh food
things that would
factory.
like make food.
Yeah.
Man, there must just be something deep in kids that just loves edible things. I mean, I guess human beings love edible things. We need them to survive. But these will do the opposite of help you survive when ingested, I suspect.
Anyway, what a fascinating thing Nickelodeon created.
Yeah, I know. Okay, well, so let's take a break.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, think about it.
I love that arm on that space station.
We have a shout out.
Nice. I love shout outs. Oh, sorry. Whoa.
Oh my God.
What? This shout out comes from Alex, who says, "Hi guys, my shout out is to Josh, one of my best friends."
It sounded like a weird. My shout out is to
My
Josh.
shout out is to Josh. One of my best friends and one of the sweetest and smartest people I know. If only for recommending the flagship Idle Thumbs podcast to me a number of years ago and inadvertently introducing me to Important If True, Idle Weekend, The Idle Book Club, Twin Peaks Rewatch, The End of Mad Men, True Detective Weekly, Designer Notes, and Something True.
This shout out owns. This shout out is also just an ad for our shows.
Covert ad. Josh is getting married in September, and I wish him and his fiancée Sophie all the best for the future. I'd also like to take this opportunity to say that Idle Thumbs and Important If True episode descriptions are some of the most delightful and entertaining pieces of writing anywhere. So thank you for them and everything else you guys do. Warmest regards, Alex.
Thanks, Alex, for that awesome shout out that included shouting us out along with your friend Josh.
We got shouted out way more than Josh.
Yeah, sorry,
Eat
Josh.
it, Josh.
Yeah.
Dunked. Slimed.
Slimed. Gross. You got slimed.
Oh, no. Well, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh, for being just seemingly a good person. And thank you, Alex, for acknowledging Josh's quality, but more importantly, for telling us that we're great.
Also, congrats, Josh, on your upcoming wedding.
Yeah, congrats. Congrats, Josh.
And congrats
and
us for someone else paying to advertise our shows on our show.
Gotcha. If you would like to put a shout out on this podcast, whether to pump up yourself, a friend, or us, you can do so by going to store.idlethumbs.net. Go to the shout outs. All the details are there. Once again, thanks, Alex. Congrats, Josh and Sophie.
I can't stop thinking about the world in which every wall just has a huge PewDiePie, a huge Blade Runner PewDiePie reacting to just like whatever the thing that is driving it, like just a guy, like the idea that there's just a New York, but every building has a huge PewDiePie on it, and they could all just be watching, just like, oh, a bird slipped on a tried to land and sort of missed, and then that PewDiePie just goes, oh, did you see that? Or like,
so all of these giant figures are individually, locally aware of everything.
Oh, a guy almost gets gets cut off when he's trying to walk across the crosswalk as a car drives by, and he gets mad, and then there's fucking nice, just like, and you have no idea what they're responding to, but they're all just sort of detecting things in their field of vision that are like six city blocks that they can see.
Decentralized panopticon, and it could be anything from like huge scale to the tiniest scale. Yeah, God, that's really
but then like
good
if
and
a building gets demolished because they're putting another one in, like every PewDiePie in a 10-block range is like,
Oh, did you see that?
and the
Holy
PewDiePie
shit.
on the building.
guys. Yeah, but then they all just go sort of back to watching, the guy who sort of steps in something and is slightly annoyed while continuing along his day.
What is the business model of this?
It's just how culture has changed, Chris. We two different generations of Americans don't understand. I mean, what the youth are going to like.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this new generation we barely understand. So who knows what's going to happen next after digital PewDiePie holograms ascend onto our literal structures.
Yeah, and also PewDiePie as a millennial, I assume, is he is like the elder statesman to this new generation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. He's the older, wiser.
This is just
sage.
the Lincoln Memorial, just replicated across the land.
Right.
It's just
Right. Yeah. You know that a city. I mean, New York, obviously, one of the world's great cities. I mean, clearly, but you know that your kind of smaller, mid-sized city has made it when it gets its first 20-story PewDiePie.
Right.
That's like a cathedral in the medieval.
It's like when your mall got an IMAX. Like, that's a big fucking deal if you have a mall big enough to have an IMAX.
I thought you said when your
theater.
mom got an IMAX.
No, when your mall gets one. It's like when your mom watches
Your mom got an IMAX?
Dismissive Gen Xer. What, your mom doesn't have an IMAX?
Oh, your mall, which is also a Gen Xer bullshit thing.
That's true.
But we're talking about the future, Chris, by which I mean PewDiePie, also definitely not the future. I mean, unless he gets a hologram of himself and puts it on every building.
Right.
The holograms run really slowly to sort of slow down his aging process.
What, they age?
Yeah, the holograms have really complicated aging algorithms of different stages of PewDiePie's life.
Jesus, that paints a terrifying future from like 200 years from now. You just have
eventually
ancient PewDiePies.
Eventually the hologram...
The Ozymandias
ancient PewDiePies. Eventually the holograms, that's what they're called. In my... I read
You have to kiss when you're under them.
And he goes,
"Whoa! Is a
whoa.
sacred."
That's hot.
Nice one.
Well, you want your holograms to be advanced enough that they sort of do understand complicated human emotions, and for that to happen, they have to live a full life.
I see.
Yeah.
So eventually, all the PewDiePie holograms are dying out.
Yeah.
Why does he use his vast understanding of human emotion and wisdom and like exposure to many generations to still just flip out anytime anything kind of stupid
That's what the people love, Chris. It's really tragic.
He understands it all the more deeply. The more
but if
he
you
ages.
go by the PewDiePie holograms at like 3 a.m, you can see like a little tear because he's been alive for like 6 generations and he knows how it all ends. But then you're like, you try to point it out, and then he just sort of like laughs at you and makes fun of you, then goes
Roasted fuck nut. Shit.
yeah. He just he quickly sort of gets
right.
himself back under
His
control.
defenses are raised.
Yeah, by pointing it out, you've in fact further radicalized that PewDiePie hologram.
That's right. Oh God, I hate this.
Okay, sorry. Why did I bring this back up?
I
again?
don't know why this ever came up.
I really like them all being sad, though. I think it's really funny.
Yeah. I just love the idea of like a 200-foot tall, really sad PewDiePie who lives forever and watches our lives.
It doesn't even have to be
until we're
PewDiePie at
dead.
that point. Just any symbol of this current time that somehow gets turned into a fucking living hologram that then ages way past now.
Unfortunately, as the only person who successfully undertook the process of digitalizing consciousness in his life, it's going to be Martin Shkreli.
Oh, yeah.
Learn from my mistakes.
God, that would be a way worse dystopian society that we just have like pathetic Shkreli's everywhere.
Remorseful Shkreli.
I didn't mean it. Martin Shkreli created Martin Shkreli.
He was just frozen in time at the time of his sentencing.
Yeah. Oh God. That's the moment. Yeah. In his grief at his sentencing, that's the moment.
But then that's the one that has to then live through hundreds of years and just watch the world change.
Judge us all.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, let's get back to that.
What are we talking about? Nothing.
know,
Jesus,
nothing.
never. I'm sorry. We've replaced this podcast with something bad.
We replace this. Yeah.
Please replace us with holograms of George Clooney as fast as you can.
Please. We're back. I think we're back.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back. We have an email from John. John says, assuming it, I don't know why that's suggestive. John writes, assuming it does not contain any proper nouns, is there anything that could be written on a fortune cookie that would convince you to heed its advice? Do you think that fortune cookie manufacturers consider this? You think there are any like really earnest fortune cookie authors who like consider this question on a regular basis?
Maybe.
I wonder if writing fortune cookie fortunes is like something that people who do it consider as an unheralded.
Yes, I think that is actually true. I think that there was an episode, man, I think it was 99% Invisible.
Oh, really?
That talked about Bay Area fortune cookie manufacturers, including just like, it's one that seemed like it was a family business where the younger daughter of the family, her job was just to write the fortunes that go into one of the like pretty big fortune cookie packers. And I mean, I don't think she actually took it all that seriously.
Damn. Oh, well. It was a good try.
I mean, this is interesting because it's sort of like a test of faith with this, where like you're like I if I think like I would believe a fortune cookie if it said duck and then I didn't and I got hit in the head. I'd be like, oh fuck, that fortune cookie did know.
Right, but
that's like the hand of God coming down and saving you from an auto accident. Well, PewDiePie laughs at you. Just faith, at least like the Christian version of it, of just like you have to believe that there is actually some authority to these words written down.
Yeah.
And that, but it's not going to be proven definitively.
Right.
And I guess until you die
right.
and are judged.
Well, yeah. I mean, what if you open a fortune cookie and it just said "You will die"? I mean, you would believe it. It would be correct.
Yeah,
you'd believe it. You will die, duck, and then you die. Like if you read the fortune cookie and it said duck and then you got hit in the head, would you then like?
Oh, you would retroactively. I mean, that's a confirmed fortune,
right? But then what? I mean, then what? Then you are like, fuck, give me more of these. Like, do you then start like hoarding fortune cookies to like and like breaking them all open and be like, shit, what do I do next? And then the next one is like, open another fortune cookie, and then you're like, well, shit, I'm doing that, and it said duck before and I didn't, and then I got hit, and now I'm like, is there a way that a fortune cookie could, with just like a couple hits? Like, you know, on the hit or miss, like signal to noise ratio, just a little bit of signal could turn you into like a complete disaster. Probably.
I mean, I think. Well, but I mean, then isn't the notion of a fortune cookie though, like the cookie that is placed before you, that is your cookie. I feel like if you start hoarding other cookies, those are fortunes for other. Yeah, I don't think you can jump the line.
That makes the one that is correct even more infuriating, because you're like, well, shit, I already fucking didn't follow the advice, and now I can't.
Right.
Well, now what? I mean, that really would actually be the most infuriating thing, to become convinced that your fortune cookie contained incontrovertible wisdom and truth, and then know that you can't get another one until it's ordained.
It seems so much more likely that a truthful fortune cookie would just lead you down a path of spiraling regret and depression than it would actually help you. Because you'd be like, fuck, if only I had listened to the words of that fortune cookie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, PewDiePie would...
I mean, what if the fortune cookie said, heed the words on this fortune cookie or face a life of spiraling regret and depression?
That's... I mean, I think you're pretty much completely fucked if that's the fortune cookie you get.
Yeah, because it doesn't actually tell you to do anything.
What do you do? You're like, am I heating it?
I
think I'm heating it.
I would believe that fortune cookie knew way too much about me.
Yeah.
It was just, by reading this one sentence, you'll spin into an existential crisis to the grave.
Yeah.
Fuck.
God, well, shit.
It got me.
God, fuck. Oh, shit.
Did you see that? You read it.
That's actually the perfect... God, that is the perfect thing for the giant, slow-aging... building commentator to observe, because your slow motion spiral into depression and regret would be, to their like slow consciousness, that would happen in like a very quick amount of time. So for them, that's the equivalent of like slipping on a normal person, seeing someone else slip on a banana peel and, you know, eat shit.
But also then...
Except it's an entire human life.
You live that life because you read that fortune cookie and it caused you to have this horrible spiral of awareness/regret. When you die, you're just fading out like a Star Wars ghost, and then you're going to be on the billboard.
What? What?
You'll be.
I don't follow this at all.
You'll hit such a level of existential despair from this fortune cookie that when you die, your soul is immortalized up on that board, and then you're like,
"Don't make my mistakes."
But then
you've sublimated essentially
that's
into
the first thing that you say, and then you see someone else eat shit, and you're like, "Oh, did you see that?" And it's like your mind sort of slowly goes.
God, right. Well, or that is like the highest form of like consciousness. Is just everything is right? Like all you have gained so much awareness about human existence and the cosmic uncaring
So you become
universe.
like the galaxy brain meme, where it's just like enjoy it.
The galaxy, exactly. Yes, you are the literal and figurative galaxy brain who just laughs at everyone eating shit day to day in their stupid, pointless human life. While you cackle at them from the side of skyscrapers.
When I read this email from John, one of the things that came to mind for me was a tweet that I saw going around a bunch just in the last couple of days, which said, "Fortune cookies are not fucking around in 2018. It's posted by someone named David Ehrlich, and it's a photograph of a fortune cookie that just says, "Human rights, know them, demand them, defend them."
Whoa.
Jesus.
Hardcore. I would start trusting fortune cookies.
If it said
Now I do.
That was the one.
Yeah. That's it. That's the answer to the question. It doesn't contain any proper nouns, so it fulfills the requirement. Is there anything that could be written on a fortune cookie that would convince you to heed its advice? Fucking heed that advice. I mean, it's either you heed the advice of that fortune cookie, or guaranteed you live in the world described in the preceding 40 minutes of this podcast.
Yes.
That is that's this world of like building consciousness, mocking Shkreli's and PewDiePie's,
and the Chrome Clooney robots,
exactly, observing the endless war between the NASA Control Center Hanks.
Yeah, I would say that fortune cookies are the only messages we're getting from the resistance telling us how to survive this.
That's probably true. You know why? Because they're entirely analog. They're private, like they're unfuckwithable because you can't,
because they're wrapped inside of a cookie.
Yeah, you can't.
And robots don't eat.
You can't tamper with the message on a fortune cookie. Once the fortune cookie has been sealed around the message, that's it. It's like a wax seal, but there's not even an equivalent to like resealing it. It's the ultimate encryption. So one, the message is you cannot like tamper with it. It also is, I'm going to just go out on a limb here and say that it is probably produced with technology that is at a level that is not part of the global
I don't know how many new fortune
network.
cookie message printing presses are tooled these days and roll off the old factory line.
Right. I'm guessing this is like, what's the term for a laptop that has like no internet connection at all, and it's like people who do really secure work, they have to use computers that have absolutely no in or out to the internet and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like there's a term for that I don't remember, that I'm sure people will write in about. But fortune cookies are like that.
Yeah, they're fully off the grid. They're produced in a clean room, by which I mean meets FDA standards for a clean fortune cookie facility.
Sterile food preparation facilities. The fortune cookies are like if you were a time traveler and you wanted to like contact your self,
or one of millions who enjoy these fortune cookies.
Right. That would be the perfect way to seed the message. I mean, I guess your message might just be you will spiral into an inevitable lifetime of
don't
doubt,
travel
regret,
through time.
Well,
the best fortune that I ever received in a fortune cookie said, maybe you will live on the moon maybe you will live on moon in next century.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you? Okay, crucial question. Did you receive that in this century or the previous one?
I honestly can't remember at this point.
Oh, damn.
I had
That's pretty critical.
I had it up on my wall for so long that I forgot how long I've had it there.
That's pretty critical, because if you got it before you were age 20, that means you've got the moon in your future.
There's a good chance I got it.
If you got it post age 20, it means your fucking Shkreli Digiself is going to be living on the moon
here's
a long
the
time
problem.
from now.
There's a very good chance I got it in the year 2000.
Oh shit! So how pedantic was the author of that fortune cookie?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. How much we're not yet in the new century?
Yeah.
Was
Is there another fortune cookie out there that says Jesus was born in the year 1? What a fucking mistake that was.
What do you mean?
That's just our calendar is such a piece of shit.
Wait, was he? Oh, he wasn't born in the year 0?
I mean, if he was born in 0, then 2000 would be the millennium, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Weird. So is there no year 0? How do I not know this?
Does not exist. Year 0 does not exist.
Yeah,
yes. Year 0 does not exist?
Year 0 does not exist. It goes from
1 BC to 1 BC.
What?
Yeah.
That's pretty fucked up.
I just think that the concept of 0 in numbering was not really there.
Oh, really?
Someone just fucked it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is strange. That actually, I mean, so obviously...
So that's why 2000 is stupid. Computers care about it because the number is different, but like...
Right.
That's not how the calendar works.
Right. Huh.
So maybe I will live on the moon this century.
Yeah. All right, well, let's keep an eye out for that.
Are we waiting?
Let's see if it happens. How much hard drive space do we have on this computer?
I'll be right back. If we're gonna wait that long, I'm gonna go get myself digitally scanned, and then we can wait as long as we want. Because
all right, I'm gonna get myself a fresh cup of coffee. Should we endorse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good Lord. Okay. Well, Nick, what do you got? What do you got to endorse? You got to endorse? Endorsement?
I'm gonna endorse. I'm endorsing a book by
a book.
A book
that might be a first. For this
perhaps
fucking Philistine podcast.
Yeah. It's a book by somebody I think who's been mentioned on this podcast before, by Oxford philosopher named Nick Bostrom, who
he has been mentioned on this podcast ages ago.
Ages ago, yeah. His primary focus is on machine learning and just artificial intelligence in general. And he wrote a book that he released, I think, about 2 years ago called Superintelligence: Paths, Dangers, and Strategies. And I have read that book, and it is incredibly interesting. It is, I wouldn't say it's an easy read. I wouldn't say it's a brisk read, but I will say that it does toe the line between sort of being too overly technical to follow as a layman, but also getting into kind of advanced concepts about machine learning to the extent that you could actually learn something about it, as opposed to just kind of having a general vague idea of what it is. And he basically, runs you through the sort of history of artificial intelligence, and then gets into kind of like his theories on where it's going and like what we can do to not be a Clooney army. Where
does he stand on Mega Shkreli?
Unclear, Chris.
I guess the jury's still out.
Yeah, I mean his essential. Spoiler. His kind of theory on all of this is that his thesis is basically he sees this as a major problem. Obviously, as we've outlined in our podcast, and
should be clear.
Yeah, it should be very obvious. And his kind of idea about how to potentially maybe avoid this problem is by instilling human values in AI before it can kind of just be its own alien thing. And it's really interesting.
The problem with that is that human values fucking suck.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. But it is.
AI invents even more aggressive capitalism. It's out of control. Actually, we instilled it with human values, so there shouldn't be a problem. Oh shit! Fuck.
Oh, God damn it!
Yeah, fuck.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, super capitalism released.
Yeah. But it's a really good book. I would recommend it to people who like listen to our bullshit and like actually would want to know
want the real
about
version.
Yeah. The real
What's
version,
the name of the book again?
It's called Superintelligence: Paths, Dangers, Strategies, and it's on Amazon.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jake, have you formulated an endorsement, or should I give you some more stalling time here?
God, yeah, I was trying. After all the Nickelodeon conversation earlier, I was trying to see if a book that I owned as a child was still in print called How to Host a Double Dare Party.
Oh, shit.
Unfortunately, it's out of print and I can't even find it on eBay.
Anyway.
All right, Jake, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to endorse... This is sort of a multi-tiered endorsement, so I'm not exactly sure how to succinctly put it forward, but I think what I am basically endorsing is a particular breakfast.
Okay.
Yeah. So... A few weeks ago, I tentatively endorsed Marmite, the iconic British yeast extract spread that is loved and reviled in equal measure. And the sort of full weight of that endorsement was pending my eventual potential acceptance of Marmite into my own life, which I am pleased to report has fully occurred in the intervening weeks. I'm on my third tub of Marmite.
Gross.
I stepped up to a bigger
Jesus.
tub because the original one I ordered was a little like 3-ounce thing, and it does not last that long. So I am a Marmite convert at this point.
Can I
really
ask you, Chris? Is Sarah into the Marmite?
She actually didn't try it at all. She completely avoided it for weeks until 2 days ago when I prepared the breakfast I am about to describe, at which point she said, "Oh, this is actually pretty nice," on buttered toast. And then she's like, "Oh, I'll try some from the jar." And she like scooped out a little tiny bit from the jar and tasted it alone and said, "Oh my God, this is disgusting." So
okay.
So the answer is yes and no. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend the straight Marmite. I have not leveled up to straight Marmite, and it's not something that I anticipate
very strong
tackling in the near future.
Something
it's pretty
you need
intense.
to dilute. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an additive. It is not a primary ingredient.
Right.
For sure.
Okay.
But for the full, I would say, sort of affected Commonwealth experience, I am going to recommend something that was suggested to me by our friend Spaff, himself an Englishman and longtime Idle Thumbs collaborator, friend guy. He recommended Marmite on buttered toast cut into soldiers, which is a British term for thin strips of toast. You you toast the bread and then you spread the butter and Marmite on it, and then you cut the bread into thin strips, which you then use to dip into soft-boiled eggs. So you soft-boil eggs and you do them so that the yolk is still perfectly runny and delicious, but the whites are fully cooked and nice and firm. And I found a great method for that actually on, I think maybe Cooks Illustrated, which is to get your perfectly soft-boiled eggs. You boil just half an inch of water in a pot, a small pot, and then you put the eggs in that little half inch of water. You set the timer for about 6 minutes. You cover it, and you essentially are steaming the eggs rather than fully immersing them in boiling water, and then you plunge them into ice water after the end so they stop cooking. Otherwise, they will actually just turn into basically hard-boiled eggs while you wait. Anyway, I went so far as to purchase egg cups.
Here we go. Here it is.
Because the first time I prepared this meal, I realized it is essentially impossible to fully enjoy soft-boiled eggs without egg cups. So the full breakfast I am recommending is soft-boiled eggs cooked with the method I recommended, placed in egg cups, cracked with an amazing device that I know as an egg topper, but my British friends seem to refer to as an egg clacker, which is this totally bonkers, like...
Soldiers and egg clackers.
Yeah.
It's exactly what comes to mind when you hear the phrase egg clacker.
It's a long metal rod attached to a little dome that you position on top of the egg, and then there is a metal ring that you drop from the top of the rod, and this ring like slams down onto the cup and essentially cracks the egg in a perfect diametrical ring, and then you can pry off the top of the eggshell on the cooked soft-boiled egg.
What do British people call the little top of the egg that you take off? It's got to have the most wacky name
I don't
possible.
know. That's a good question. I should have researched that. Yeah.
The helm.
And then you...
That's no way. That is nowhere near as colloquial and cheeky and
true.
Also weirdly sort of like... militaristic, but like it's too militaristic without also being really cheeky and dismissive about it.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not quite there.
So anyway, you uncap the egg, and then you have the little egg spoon. The set that I ordered from Amazon came with 4 egg cups, an egg clacker, and 4 little egg spoons. And it also came with something that is so fucking quaint I can't even handle it, which is a totally bonkers pair of scissors with a weird little hole in it, and the sole purpose of this pair of scissors is to remove the top of a cooked quail egg. And this very specific pair of shears that once you see it, you realize it can only be used for this purpose. It has no other function. Was sold with pretty much all of the sets that I found, which implies that consuming quail eggs must just be a common enough practice in homes that otherwise use egg clackers and egg cups that maybe I should get into that too.
I can't believe that you have not done a social eating Twitch stream of how you prepare all of this bullshit.
Yeah, well, that might be a bridge too far. But it is a very nice breakfast. When you dip your buttered and marmited soldiers into the nice, perfect egg yolk in your little egg cup, it is just a taste combination that must be experienced to be believed. So that is my complex, multi-layered endorsement. I'll link to all the stuff you need, the recipe for the eggs, everything, all that stuff in the description. Sorry for taking so long.
No,
Jake,
okay.
What do you got? I give you a lot of time there.
I want to endorse an article in the MIT Technology Review that I think we all laughed about and never talked about on the show, and I don't think we ever will talk about it.
You're incorrect, clearly.
Well, we'll talk about it now. The headline of this article is fantastic. It's about a startup. A startup is pitching a mind uploading service that is, quote, 100% fatal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people emailed this to us.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about this. Yeah,
God,
why didn't we talk about this?
I don't know. It's disgusting. It's
Yeah.
a company called Nectome, Nectome.
Wow.
And it's a startup that is part of the Y Combinator accelerator, which is crazy. Y Combinator was like an early investor in Dropbox and like a ton of like
Yeah, like
really
Pinterest and shit.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was actually Pinterest, but that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're like one of the firms that is sort of historically incubated and then funded a lot of real big
just
deal.
the most like classic online tech service
and also
a 100% fatal
Yeah.
brain uploader,
yes,
brain clacker.
God, it's just
Yeah.
out of control.
Yeah.
It's a preserve your brain and upload it company. Its chemical solution can keep a body intact for hundreds of years, maybe thousands, but you're gonna die. You get embalmed and your brain is just uploaded. Their website says, what if we told you we could back up your mind? It's not a backup.
It is your actual
It's
mind.
your mind. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, a backup
Yep.
is a copy that
I mean,
you keep around.
This solves the Skrelly problem. Remember last week when we were talking about how, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, I don't remember, when we were talking about how Skrelly can't really escape death because when he uploads his brain to the cloud, the actual real Skrelly still dies. This totally gets around that problem.
It just kills you.
Yeah, you murder Skrelly, then
I
put his
couldn't
brain in a
believe that
jar.
this was real, and I still kind of don't, except that it seems like someone...
I don't think a firm like Y Combinator would, as a joke, like...
Right, but the fact that they did it for real is way more damning.
I'm not
It's
saying it
out
isn't
of
fucked up.
control.
I'm just saying I think it's real.
Yeah, anyway.
I'm not saying I think it's good.
Anyway, read the article. That said, if it sounds like it's too gross for you to read, totally don't read it. The first picture is just a fucking gross brain.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
We can refer to my previous discussions of my encounters with a brain on a tray in the show notes.
Right, cross-reference. Yep.
Things I do not endorse.
Yep.
Being in the same room as a brain on a tray unless you're a medical student.
Yep. Any internet service that calls itself 100% fatal, also not endorsed.
I don't endorse that. I endorse reading about it because it's really, really hilarious and sad.
Yep.
That's all.
All right. Well, there you go. There's all of our... That is a particularly strange... Well, not strange, but sort of ping-ponging set of endorsements this week. Well, thank you for joining us on Important If True. If you like this podcast, it means so much to us when you recommend it to your friends or people you know or anyone else. I do genuinely think there's been an uptick in recommendations recently, and it is super exciting. We see those on Twitter sometimes, and it's the best. It is so heartwarming and life-affirming. So thank you for everyone who's done that. And if you need to direct someone to subscribe to this podcast, or if you yourself would like to subscribe, you can go to importantiftrue.com, and there all of the information you seek is waiting for you to uncover it. If you have any questions, quandaries, you need our advice, you need us to solve a problem for you, please send that in to questions@importantiftrue.com, and we will do our best. For an ad-free version, head over to patreon.com/idlethumbs, and you will discover how to achieve that. And that's it. That is all we got for this week's Important If True. It's been fun. And so, for Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I am Jake Rodkin.
Stay spicy until the end of time.
That's the new sign off forever. Stay spicy forever. What if I told you you could stay spicy forever?
It's 100% fatal, but you'll always be spicy.